It can't always be easy living in a galaxy filled with powerful villains who are always striving for even more power and territory. But if you want to follow a certain nomad's advice and look on the bright side, there are a few heroes who can be powerful too. But who among these characters is the most powerful? And who's the weakest? We've already ranked them on their morality, so now it's time to rank them based on their power levels. Yo, I'm Brad with Wicked Binge, and this is Wander over Yonder, weak to powerful. Before we begin, a few things to keep in mind. Although the number of powerful villains may outnumber the good guys due to the nature of Wander Over Yonder and how many of its characters have switched allegiances, we'll be including both heroes and baddies on this list. Additionally, their morality won't factor into our ranking. If you want to see how they rank on that, you'll have to watch our previous video on this show. Lastly, for clarity's sake, we'll be ranking characters on a combination of their physical strength and durability, intelligence, powers, resources such as ships or armies, and finally, how many wins or successes they've had. We'll be starting with our absolute weakest character and move on up to the most powerful. When it comes to weak characters, there's no one better to start off our list than the minor league villain, Something to So-and-So. Introduced in Season 2 as part of the Galactic Villain Leaderboard, this guy was ranked low from the start. He had very few planets to his name, no armies, and not even any powers. He did have the opportunity to get what he thought was an all-powerful ring of invincibility. In reality, it was just an ordinary candy ring. But between not having a plan for what to do with it and the other villains being more outspoken than him, he left the battle empty-handed.
Sorry, I'll just put this back.
Something to So-and-So later tries to do something evil, but is still uncertain on exactly what he wants to do. With very little convincing on Wander's part, Something to So-and-So gave up on being a villain and was last seen helping the rest of the galaxy in the finale. Unfortunately, this guy never got to show what he could do, or if he could do anything. Because of this, we have to put him at the bottom of our list. Our next two entries are tied in terms of power, and are rivals. Starbella and her greatest enemy, Mandrake. These two have been fighting each other and going on adventures for years, but when we meet them, they're not exactly at their peak. Not to diss the lesson of the episode, but it can't be denied that compared to other characters, Starbella and Mandrake only have the ability to compete with each other. Because of their age, they're both slow and can be forgetful. Mandrake is physically weak, losing his breath multiple times and unable to use his magic anymore. He does have an army of robots, but these guys can easily be defeated by ordinary objects, which brings us to Starbella. Though more mobile and agile than Mandrake, she doesn't seem to be physically strong and has to rely on items such as a supersonic socket wrench, hairspray, and her false teeth to defeat Mandrake. But even she couldn't defeat Mandrake without the help of her sidekick, Mittens. While these guys have some fight left in them, they might want to consider retirement. Next is the most adorable bounty hunter in the galaxy, Lil Bits. While smaller and physically weaker than Starbella and Mandrake, Lil Bits has a special ability that gives her an edge. Because of how cute she is, Lil Bits is able to hypnotize most people into surrendering to her, making them easy to manipulate and control.
No one can resist my cuteness.
We also see her briefly wielding a machine gun. That's a pretty big gun for a powerful kitty. However, her cuteness isn't infallible. Both Sylvia and the Black Cube of Darkness were able to withstand her powers. And without that ability, Lil Bits is just an ordinary cat who's barely able to escape from an empty toilet paper roll. Though we respect the edge she may have on ordinary citizens throughout the galaxy, when it comes to heroes and other villains, there is really no contest. Up next, we have the not-so-noble knight, Sir Brad Starlight. Despite looking as buff as your standard knight, Brad doesn't have a lot of fighting skills. He easily gets overpowered by King Dracor's guards, while Wander and Sylvia were briefly able to fight them. He also failed at fighting one of Dominator's lava bots, only able to defeat it when the fight was fixed. The most we see of Bradley's battle skills is when he constantly fights with Lord Hater.
Just wanted to find Wander as the leader!
While Hater obviously has magic and an army of watchdogs on his side, Brad was able to keep up with him physically, the two of them being about evenly matched in a fistfight. In his episodes, we also see how easily Brad is able to get back up after his many failures, giving off the sense that while he isn't much of a combatant, he's durable. Next, we have the fierce arachnomorph hunter, Emily Ripoff. To deal with creatures as tough as acid-spitting, sharp-toothed spiders, you have to be the toughest of the tough. As a hunter, Ripoff has a huge arsenal that includes blasters and knives of all different sizes. She's also a capable physical fighter, given how she's able to tackle Lord Hater and briefly pin him down. We also know that she's durable, given all the injuries that she's been able to walk away from. Still, while we admire her hunting skills and bravery, she's more of an above-average warrior than an unstoppable force, and still needs Captain Tin to save her from the Queen Arachnomorph, unable to get out of her webs herself. From the Arachnomorph homeworld to the snowy surface of Bahala, we have the Troll. It's implied that through his strength and unique ability of being able to grow to enormous sizes, the Troll was able to defeat Prince Kashmir and his army several times. Given that the Bahalians are trained warriors and outnumbered the Troll 100 to 1, this is nothing to sneeze at.
I totally forgot how lame your cape is.
Not even Sylvia could do much to stop the Troll physically. However, while the Troll's unique ability is useful, it also has a huge weakness. Once people refuse to give him attention or respond to his insults, the Troll has no choice but to shrink to the size of an ant, making it very easy to defeat him. Even if you acknowledge his wins, this fatal flaw pushes the Troll pretty low on our list. Up next is the Black Cube of Darkness. The Black Cube is a unique character, making him hard to rank. He has the ability to suck out people's souls, and if that wasn't enough, his otherworldly nature grants him other abilities, like stopping a missile dead in its tracks. You'd think these two things combined would be enough to shoot the cube to the top of our list. Unfortunately, it's not always easy being a little Black Cube of Darkness. For starters, though his ability to steal souls can be a game-ending move, he has to be able to do it. Unfortunately, people are able to stop him from doing this by simply looking away or covering their eyes. Additionally, while he's great at defending, he can't do much in ways of physical attacking, other than his signature move. With no armies to do the fighting for him and no backup ability for when his soul-stealing attempts fail, we have to put him towards the weaker end of our list. Dr. Screwball Jones is next. He's a clever prankster who just wants to make others happy. Nearly all of Screwball's arsenal is focused on comedy, from banana peels to a tickle machine filled with feathers. He even has a magic accordion that can stand up to Wander's banjo. While these so-called weapons may seem like jokes, they still pack a punch.
You might find this appealing. Get it?
Sylvia was nearly incapacitated by them. But for people like Wander, who know how to go along with the bit, it can be easy to outsmart him. It should also be noted that Screwball doesn't seem to be particularly strong, nor does he have any powers. It was even taken down by his own tickle machine. Though Wander may consider him a huge threat, he's really just a clown. For our next spot, we're putting the entire Watchdog Army, save for a certain commander, which we'll get to later. Though these guys aren't special on their own, together they've managed to be a formidable force. As a group, they were able to overpower Sylvia early on in the series. They're also able to overtake a whole planet with enough guidance from their superiors. Unfortunately, watchdogs aren't bright, hence why they often need Peepers or Hater guiding them. They also aren't much of a threat without their blasters, having about average strength and not having much height over their enemies. Still, against all odds and thanks to their strong teamwork, these guys have a few W's. Next is Sourdough, the evil sandwich.
Evil sandwich!
Let's be real, Sourdough is only getting this spot because of his vast armada and resources, which was left over from his time as Queen Intizoa. His beef eaters are strong, and with the amount of ships he has, he was able to easily overpower the Skull ship after stealing several of Hater's planets. But while this makes him a powerful force on the galactic villain leaderboard, it's clear that Sourdough isn't very powerful. He is just a sandwich, which Hater was able to toast with one shot of his lightning. Sometimes you don't need to be the strongest guy in the room. Sometimes you just need strong people who are willing to work for you, even if you're stuck as a couple of pieces of bread and bologna. Managing to rank 2 slots above his subordinates, we have Commander Peepers. At first, it seemed as though Peepers' status as a commander was the only thing that made him special. In one instance, he wasn't even strong enough to lift the flagpole.
Pick this thing up and throw it at yourself.
But after this, Peepers bulked up, getting stronger over time, and was even able to be on equal footing with Sylvia. He's also intelligent, coming up with nearly all the Watchdog Army's plans and strategies. However, even he can sometimes fall victim to Wander's tricks. His height can also be a huge weak spot, which Emperor Awesome takes advantage of. Finally, while the watchdogs may listen to him, they don't necessarily respect him or even like him that much, making you wonder who they'd side with if there was ever a coup within the Hater Empire. Though he's probably the most capable watchdog, there's still several other characters who have him beat. And sometimes you have to accept that brawn beats out brains. Who's ready to party? Up next on our list is Emperor Awesome. Sharks are powerful creatures on our Earth, so it isn't too surprising to see a shark man from space this high up. Just by looking at his muscles, you can see that this guy's game is brute strength. Even his army is just a bunch of living fists. What he lacks in intelligence, Awesome is able to make up for in power. Though he lost his Battlesaurus, he does have speakers that are so powerful that they're able to crack a planet in half.
Let's crank the volume up and bring this planet down!
His vast popularity can also grant him influence over people, something his rival Hater often struggles with. But due to him being a musclehead, he often isn't smart enough to think of any backup plans or strategies when his strength fails. He practically gave himself over to Dominator due to him being so cocky. In the end, this was Awesome's biggest downfall, and all his strength couldn't save him from getting captured and traumatized by the galaxy's latest villain. Outranking nearly all the villains on this list in terms of power, it's none other than Yonder. This is another case where determination, intuition, and especially heart can overpower raw strength. Due to his friendly nature, Yonder has a ton of influence over people. He's convinced several of his former enemies to switch sides and be better people, essentially defeating them. When he can't convince an enemy to become a friend, he uses seemingly goofy shenanigans to trick them into having fun or sometimes even taking themselves out, as we see in the very first episode.
I'll just leave this here in case you change your mind.
As one of the more emotionally intelligent people in the show, Wander's often able to see a person's true wants and desires. By helping them, he's often able to save people and planets. He's also sometimes able to see the solutions that others can't, like how he was able to figure out the troll's weakness. He isn't very strong, though he was able to kick a missile away from the sun, and for a little guy, that's pretty impressive. But more often than not, he has to rely on Sylvia to handle the more physical side of their adventures. And ironically, as much as he uses distraction to defeat his enemies, Yonder can fall to distractions himself and put himself in danger just to help someone out.
But I just wanted to help you.
Because of these factors, we can't rank him any higher, despite all the wins he's had throughout the series. Just above Yonder is his best friend Sylvia. Despite not having any extraordinary powers, Sylvia is one of the strongest characters in the show. Not only is she able to stand up to enemies bigger than her, she's also able to pull out a win when she's outnumbered. Her determination in keeping her buddy Yonder safe also plays a big part in how strong and resourceful she can be.
Got your back, buddy, with 2 weapons of my own.
In the Season 2 premiere, she was strong enough to temporarily break through cooled lava. She's also really fast, able to outrun Hater's skull ship. She can also be clever and strategic when it comes to fights, knows how to hotwire spaceships and learn how to use a variety of weapons effectively from her days as a bounty hunter. However, even Sylvia has her limits. If an opponent's too big or she's outnumbered, she will lose. Because of how strong she is, as well as her mix of wins and losses, we feel just a few notches below the top is the best spot for her. Ranking 4th is Planet Janet, is a living planet that's able to control the environment on her surface.
You make me feel like a newly formed celestial body.
In the blink of an eye, she can create valleys, mountains, floods, and even heat up her center core to create volcanoes. For most people in the galaxy, fighting Mother Nature is out of the question. Even if someone did have the ability to escape or fight against natural disasters, Janet being alive still allows her to think and strategize, meaning that the only way to beat her is either to talk her down or completely destroy her. Man, what's more powerful than an actual planet? How about a few planetary conquerors? Entering our top 3 is Major Threat, or Jeff, as his friends call him.
Call me Jeff.
Before Hater, Major Threat was one of the most successful conquerors in the universe. This was mostly due to his unique mental abilities. His telekinesis allows him to control people like puppets, crush planets, and create many black holes. He also has a powerful ship that dwarfs many others that we've seen in comparison. It even has a tractor beam. He also used to have an army of squid minions, though it's unknown whether he still has them as a good guy. Like the Black Cube of Darkness, having a unique and extraordinary power pushes Major Threat high up in the rankings. It is shown, however, that people like Hater are able to break free of his telekinesis. It should also be noted that while we aren't factoring in morality, Jeff is a lot less likely to use his powers these days, making him less of, well, a threat.
Have your hug waiting when you're ready.
Still, his powers are there and are still effective, allowing the former Major Threat to take bronze. Next, we're giving Lord Dominator our silver medal. Obviously, no one can outmatch her when it comes to evil and malicious intentions, but when it comes to power, things aren't quite as set in stone. Yeah, Dominator is powerful.
This is going to be...
She's got a fleet of lava bots, not to mention plenty of other weapons and missiles, as well as her infamous planet-destroying drill. With little effort, she was able to get nearly every villain in the galaxy to surrender to her. After Peepers accidentally gave her ice powers while trying to freeze her ship, she became even more powerful. So why are we only giving Dominator second? Well, a couple of reasons. The biggest reason being, it's not strictly Dominator's power, but instead, it all lies in her suit. Dominator even says that without her suit, she's at risk, and that it'd be dangerous to go out without it. She isn't even able to conquer any planets while her ship and suit are stuck updating.
I want to destroy something!
She is a competent fighter, able to overpower the nightclub owner that she and Sylvia anger. Still, it's pretty obvious that without her suit and its destructive abilities, she wouldn't be nearly as powerful as she is with it. We see this in the series finale, where after her drill is destroyed and she's cut off from her suit's powers, she's almost completely helpless and has to rely on Wander's mercy to save her. Because of these factors, we can't give her the gold. That means there's only one other character who can get it.
You're all a bunch of dorks!
At the top of our list, we've named Lord Hater. Though it may seem like his constant boasting of being the greatest in the galaxy is just Hater having an ego, there's actually a bit of truth to it.
When I want something, I take it.
Of course, Hater has one of the biggest armies in the show. His skull ship is filled with plenty of weapons and resources, and before Wander came onto the scene, Hater had most of the galaxy's planets under his control. Now, having this would only put him on the level of Emperor Awesome or Sourdough, but if you look just a little bit closer, you can see this skeleton's true power, his electric magic. With this power, he can not only electrocute enemies, but also teleport, create force fields, and even fly. One of his greatest feats of power was in the series finale, where, with a little extra motivation, he was able to withstand the force of Dominator's drill, pushing it back up into her ship. But even without his electricity, this guy can be a true powerhouse. In the picnic, we see him throw an entire T-Rex and punch Emperor Awesome completely off the planet. As for durability, he's able to survive anything, thanks to him being, well, a skeleton. From getting burnt and blown up, to falling from great heights, to even losing his limbs, Lord Hater always seems to get back up. There are even moments when he seems intelligent, like when he determined where the last planet in the galaxy was.
This is where we make our stand.
His only weakness is his ego, and how often he can get distracted by his emotions and secret desires of friendship. While this weakness is a big one, because that's usually how he loses, we just overlook Hater's raw natural power and abilities, making him the most powerful character in the galaxy. Alright guys, well, what do you think? Let us know in the comments if you agree with our ranking and tell us which series you'd like to see us cover next. Be sure to hit that notification bell and binge our Good to Evil playlist, where we break down the morality of the characters from your favorite cartoons, shows, and movies. But most importantly, stay wicked.